Welcome aboard Rocket Ship, the platform with the most relevant content for competitive examinations. As part of our answer writing series on general studies papers for civil services main examination, we'll take up a question that might appear in GS paper 2. So here goes the question. Examine the operation of the doctrine of basic structure in India, giving examples wherever applicable. So what the question asks you to do, that you have to discuss in a bit detail how the basic structure doctrine in India has operated, especially how its successes and criticisms if any, and you have to give examples as you can understand, as it is a question in paper 2, you have to mention some of the case laws. So how we introduce our answer? As is customary, you can begin with giving a definition of basic structure doctrine. So the doctrine of basic structure is a principle that says some of the features are so essential to the constitution that without them the constitution will lose its essence of being a democratic constitution. So these are the features which make the constitution the democratic constitution that it is now, and if they were to be lost, it would mean that the constitution would turn into an undemocratic constitution. It follows from above that these features cannot be removed even by way of amendments, as we have just seen that removing them would render the constitution non-democratic. Inspired by the doctrine of implied limitations, of the Weimar Constitution of Germany, the doctrine was formally articulated in the Keshwanand Bharati case 1973. However, we have to again a caveat here. You can leave this part because you would be always short of time in the examination. But this one is important. You mentioned that it was formally articulated in the Keshwanand Bharati case 1973. And we would like to add that even before that, Justice Mudholkar had Justice Mudholkar had articulated a similar doctrine in the Sajjan Singh case a few years before Keshwanand Bharati case, and actually it was he who had coined the term basic structure, Justice Mudholkar. Now, what are these features of the constitution that form the basic structure? Some of the features considered part of the basic structure are democratic republican polity, federalism, secularism, separation of power including independence of judiciary, constitutional remedies in the form of writ jurisdictions of the Supreme Court and High Court, which you probably know are mentioned under Articles 32, 226, 142 and so on. Now the examination part. An impartial examination brings out the many successes of the doctrine, and we can see that the adjoining graphic depicts some of the areas in which the doctrine has been found successful. The first one is affirming the superiority of constitution and upholding the rule of law. The doctrine ensures that it is the constitution which would always have the upper hand even over the parliamentary laws, and thus by that the Indian system of governance will not be conducted by the whim of the parliament, by the whim of the elected government, but rather by the rule of law. Then it preserves federalism. It also checks brute majority because it ensures that even with a supermajority, even with a constitutional amendment that is brought with a special majority, the basic structure will not be touched. It ensures checks and balances, including separation of power, that the three arms of the government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, will be separated from each other. And this, in my opinion, is the most wholesome feature of this doctrine, that it balances individual rights, at the same time provides for socio-economic justice. Now we will take up these points in detail. First one, affirming the superiority of constitution and upholding the rule of law. As we can see in cases like Minerva Mill 1980, it was held that the constitution itself was supreme law and even amendments had to conform to it, that the constitution had the upper hand over parliamentary laws. It was held in Minerva Mills, which you probably know what was in question here, that it was the question of judicial review, whether judicial review is allowed for a law which on which the parliament has especially provided that it would be immune to judicial review, and the court found that it was not to be so, and every law would be open to judicial review. In S.R. Bommai, federalism was held inalienable as it was part of the basic structure. What is meant here, that the union would not be able to infringe on the powers, on the jurisdiction of the states. Checking brute majority. In I.R. Coelho case 2007 upheld judicial review. It specifically upheld judicial review as part of basic structure, and therefore above even constitutional amendments resulting from supermajorities. Actually, what was in question here, that some of the laws were previously placed in Schedule 9, which was immune to judicial review. But I.R. Coelho specifically said that even laws which are placed in Schedule 9 by constitutional amendment are open to judicial review, and they can be struck down if the court finds the need to do so, if they do not conform with basic structure. It ensures checks and balances, including separation of powers. We have given the example of the Office of Profit cases of 2018, etc., and it needs a little bit of explaining here. Actually, what happened in 2018 case, or 2018 Office of Profit case, that the Delhi government designated some of the MLAs, parliamentary secretaries, who were to assist the Council of Ministers, which were to assist the ministers of Delhi government. But the court held that the prime purpose of the legislature was maintaining checks, actually, holding the Council of Ministers, holding the executive to accountability, to account. So if these people were to be brought in, the parliamentary secretaries were to be brought in the Council of Ministers even through backdoor, it would ultimately harm their function of checking and actually holding the executive to account. So this was again struck down. The Office of Profit case, it struck down their appointment as parliamentary secretaries. Again, as we have just mentioned, the Office of Profit case of 2018 upheld separation of the executive and the legislature. And this one, again, the most wholesome feature of the doctrine is that it balances individual rights and the imperative of socio-economic justice. As we can see in Indra Sohni case, where courts establish a nexus between Article 16.4 and Article 15.4. What the courts specifically say that the fundamental right under Article 15, which provides for equality in appointment under the state, equality of opportunity under state service, that is in government jobs, can be balanced with the imperative of providing for social justice, in this case providing representation to the other backward classes because they are not represented to the extent of their proportion in the population. So these two ideas, the fundamental rights of the individual and the imperative of social justice, can be balanced through the application of the basic structure doctrine too. However, there are some areas of criticism. Despite these successes, it is argued that the doctrine is vague and open to interpretation. As you can see, it gives the upper hand to the judiciary to define what is part of the basic structure, and the judiciary till now has not given out which of the features are essentially part of the basic structure. And as we probably know, the NJSC case of 2015 was criticized for not holding the judiciary to the same high standards of transparency as it holds the executive and the legislature, in sometime even the legislature too. What was actually in question here, that the judiciary argued that independence of judiciary was part of the basic structure of the constitution. So the executive would have no say in judicial appointments, for example appointing judges to the higher courts. And again, while it is a noble ideal to have an independent judiciary, it also means that if the executive or the legislature in turn had no say in judicial appointments, it would mean that there would be no balance, no checks on the judiciary itself. So some corners of opinion have actually criticized this striking down of NJSC by the Supreme Court. However, it cannot be denied, again the conclusion, it cannot be denied that the doctrine has strengthened rule of law, it has preserved federalism as we have just seen, blocked majoritarianism because even it's not possible to tweak with the basic structure even with super majority, even with special majority, at the same time as allowing for socio-economic justice. So it can be said to have been successful. This is how we sum up our answer for today. We meet again for the next lecture in a few days. Meanwhile, we have to say this to you. If you need any kind of assistance about the mains papers, you are most welcome to share your concerns, share your ideas with us in the comment section. As far as practicable, as far as our capacity allows, we would try to help you out. We again wish you all the best. Thank you.